Today on our Ever Onward podcast, we have Laurel Hamblin. She is a highly respected real estate professional here in the Treasure Valley. She is 24 years old, got started when she was 19 in real estate, and is now one of the highest producers, agents here in the Valley. And we're going to talk about the Boise home market, new sales specifically, and talking about her being in her 20s and kind of leading this next generation of leaders in the community. Really excited to have her on today. Before we have Laurel on, we are going to hear from Tonn Peterson for our Ahlquist update. He is our VP of Development here at Ahlquist, and looking forward to hearing from Tonn. Tonn Peterson.
I'm here.
Long night last night.
Long night. Yeah, long time in the making too. 18 months, culminating in last night.
So for everyone listening on our update this week, big project at 10 Mile Road. Might not know how much work goes into getting to last night. So 18 months of work and blood, sweat, and tears, and then you go. Planning and zoning was last month?
That's correct. Yep, we did planning and zoning. Then last night was the second part of city council. We'd been there 3 hours the week before. They continued, and we finished up last night. They continued
because they kind of ran out of time.
Yeah. And
then last night, I understand there were a little fireworks.
There was some emotion, and that's the good part of these things. I mean, sometimes we get frustrated by it, but the truth is, like, to be able to come together in a public forum like that and everyone share their opinion, that's what it's about. But it got a little heated last night.
Well, so big project for us. Yeah. A lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of planning, trying to do the right thing. You work with all the different jurisdictions, little background, and then you go before city council. And I think last night the issue was over traffic studies, which everyone's concerned about traffic. It's just the role of government and then the role of private citizens and who pays for what and how that works. Let me summarize. A regional traffic study that studies the effects of people moving to Boise for the entire valley is probably not something we want to lead.
A little bit of an overreach. Yeah, to look at the Treasure Valley, as a whole and say, hey, how does this one development impact the regional traffic?
Yeah.
On I-84, a little bit of an overreach.
As much as I'd love to study and pay for Highway 16 study.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah.
But there's a word for that, and it's called government.
Yeah, state and federal government at its finest, yeah.
Yeah. So we got through.
Yeah, we got through. And the truth is, the honest truth is, working with the city Meridian, working with ACHD, everyone rolled up their sleeves and worked together on this. And it's going to be a gem for the community.
So Tonn Peterson, one of our partners here, background in litigation. I tell the story all the time. First time you came in, you're like, hey, I think you're going to hire me. And I'm like, Tonn, we try to avoid guys like you. Like, we do not want to be in a courtroom. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
And that's been 5 years, 5.5?
5.5 going on 6 years. Yeah, which is a lot. But I'll tell you, and I've told you this before, Tom, I had no idea the similarities between being in a trial room, a courtroom, and being up before city council. It feels a lot the same.
Yeah, both of them are unpleasant at times.
Yeah,
you love it though. You're good at it, and a lot of it's a preparation, right?
Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. You prepare for 18 months for a 2-hour hearing, or you prepare for a year for a 2-day trial. It feels a lot the same, right?
You probably get sick of it because you came in and it's been great because you've taken over the entire entitlement thing, and there's all these other legal. You think of all the stuff you do day to day. It's different every day. Each project's different. Whether we're in Jerome or Homedale now or City of Meridian and the other thing we get to do is we get to compare jurisdictions.
Right.
Whether we're in Reno or another state even, it's just always different depending on the jurisdictions, and it's interesting to see how they interact and react and codes are interpreted and
a lot of different personalities and a lot of different moving parts, and it just there's no one day that's the same. And so sometimes my kids are like, what do you do, Dad? I'm like, exactly what I did as a litigator. It's just solving problems and trying to figure it out day by day.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably get sick and tired of getting sidebarred by us, though.
No, that's the best part.
It's like you're the go-to on anything legal. If it even starts with an L, we go in there and say, hey, Tom, what do you think about that? Anyway, it's been wonderful. Tell us what's been best about the transition for you and leadership in general. You've been a leader your whole life. You fit right into what we do as one of our partners. Has it been a good move for you?
It's been the move of a lifetime, and that's not an overstatement either. what I've really enjoyed is, taking the business background, the legal skills, but able to come in and actually build something instead of tearing something down, right? I mean, sometimes litigation is, hey, we're going to win, you're going to lose, but we're building something. We got to work together, and as partners, we got to work together. Out in the community, we got to work together. Just going home every day, being like, hey, we accomplished something. We're building something. That's rewarding.
Super cool. You're really good at it too. We've had some fun
thanks.
already.
It's been fun, Tommy. Yeah, if one thing that's been fun.
So one of the first things when Tonn was hired, we were doing Top Golf, and we had to buy the subdivision out on the other side of Top Golf where the nets are, or
we don't get the project.
We can't get the project done, right? So it's like a zero-sum game. We've got to go get this.
Yeah.
And so you went in knocking doors, and we had some great experiences there. There might be some people that listen to this, so we'll keep names out. But we got, police called a couple times. Undercooked turkey delivered to
That's a reward.
As a reward to the office.
Yeah, my favorite part about that whole thing, we buy these houses, and I don't even remember this, but we own these houses, and we got to demolish them at some point. But I'll always remember coming back to the office and Tommy Ahlquist being like, hey, I found these Johnny Cash records in one of the houses.
They were sweet.
Yeah. Well, you owned them, so you owned everything in the home.
We went through there. Someone left their old vinyls there.
Yeah.
Some finds. Sweet Johnny Cash. I still have that. All right, Tonn. Hey, thanks for coming on. Yeah. Thanks for the update. Thanks for all you do. We'll have you on, and appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Thanks so much for everything.
Thanks. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
This is going to be fun. Thank you so much. I think you did. You do some of this. I heard you did another podcast, and
yes,
I'm really looking forward. We haven't met before today, but you've got a lot going on.
Lots of things going on right now. Yes.
And I'm really excited to talk about the housing market. So, again, formal bio. Laurel works at Amherst Madison, where you have your own team there, and do a lot of new construction sales in the housing market. And how's it going out there? Let's start there.
So we are grateful to be a really busy team. We primarily work with a lot of new construction. So I am a Gen Z real estate agent. And so we're really busy because 30% of the buyers are actually first-time home buyers.
So let's talk Gen Z.
Okay.
So you're young.
Mm-hmm. 24.
24.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 24. And you've done a lot in a short time because you've got a team underneath you and you're killing it, and you're Gen Z, and your approach to this generation for selling homes. Talk about how it's different.
So I would say starting into my earlier years, so I was licensed when I was 19, so not very many people were, in the market at that time. So I'd say new construction from resale, I would say as prices have continued to go up, new construction, CBH particularly offers first-time home buyer incentives. So we've sold about 9 of their homes this year because of the builder promos. So I'd say that's given a ton of buyers the affordability side to get their foot in the door without having a ton out of pocket. So I would say CBH is killing the market right now in terms of their builder promos. But I would say in terms of that, they've been a really big hit for what they're offering for buyers.
I think Corey and team seem like they're kind of always at the leading edge of all of that. And thank heavens, because we need housing, right?
Yeah.
What are you hearing? One of the biggest barriers is just median home prices. I think we're going to pull up. Maddie, do you have that? If you look at median home price that's the Fed one. So right now, what are we quoting as the median home price in the Treasure Valley? There it is, median home price right there. What is it?
I can't read it.
Recently, I think there you go right there. 460.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 460, and at interest rates that have been high, historically high. You go back and look, that they're at a 20-year high, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that hard for people qualifying? Is it hard for people coming up with down payments? What is Gen Z thinking about housing right now?
I would say, honestly, because the buyer promos that CBH has done has been really beneficial because you can do what's called a 2-1 buy down. So they give you essentially $20,000 and you can buy your interest rate down from 4% the first year, 5-year for the next year, and then 3 to 30 is about 5 to 6%, hoping that you can refinance by that time. So I would say they cover your closing costs at that amount and then buy down your interest rate, which is actually crazy low. So we've seen monthly payments $500 below what you would lock it in for that 3 to 30, which is
huge
crazy.
difference if you're kind of on a, you're on a budget trying to figure that out. So it's $500
essentially
in your positive, right? Is the theory then, because being as old as I am, you've got these times when we're predicting that they're going to go down, right? The Fed just cut rates, that you get on essentially an arm that then you refinance when it comes down in a year or two. And that's kind of, that's allowing people to get in.
Yeah, and typically what we would say for that is obviously when rates come down, everybody that's been on the fence of buying, naturally with supply and demand, that's going to, have prices increase. So we encourage a lot of buyers to lock in the purchase price of the home, because by then, if rates drop, that gives you the opportunity to refinance. And then you're not putting yourself in a position with multiple offers, because a lot of the entry-level buyers, if you're looking at resale existing, chances are you're going to see a home with an average of an offer or so. So it just reduces the competitive level that you have with new construction too. So there's a lot of benefits that we've been pointing, Gen Z first-time home buyers to new construction, because you actually don't have that competition that you would with existing resale.
That's great. And then talk through, so just supply. I mean, I think if you think about what's happened to Boise and how many people moved here, and we went back historically and looked at we kind of looked at well, first of all, interest rates. It's interesting to see where we peaked out at and how that compares. The last time we were there was almost 20 years ago. So, but you go before that, it was always above 7%. I mean, it was we had this pretty unique time in history because we had the Great Recession, probably when you were born.
Yeah. 2000, baby.
So you had the Great Recession that came shortly thereafter. And then after the Great Recession, everyone, we always talked about when's it going to happen, because the rates can't stay this low. They're going to go up. And if you look at the curves historically, it was going to go up. It just lasted a lot longer than we thought it would. And then I think right when it would have gone up, then we had COVID. And so we've had these kind of exceptional times that have defined this. But I think the Fed, I think you would say we've accomplished kind of that soft landing. We didn't go into a recession, and now rates are coming back down.
They came down for a day. And then went back up a little bit.
That's right. So talk to me through you, because you deal with buyers. Just the mentality of the supply thing, because if you're looking for a home in Boise right now, or you're looking to either rent or buy, for a lot of people, buying is tough to figure out. And so, do you see more production and more supply coming? What's your prediction for 25?
So what I would say is, when we coach our buyers, just getting their foot in the door, it's giving them the expectation that home is going to be an investment property for them. So in terms of their real estate long-term goals, it's getting your foot in the door for a home. It's more so move-in ready. You don't have to put a ton of money into it and holding it. It's more so we coach to buy and hold versus, selling, and then really kind of hitting the aspect of building long-term wealth. Yeah. But I would say new construction makes up a lot of the market right now. You're seeing that. I just pulled a property search for some buyers in Nampa Caldwell for new construction, and they have about 119 options under $400,000, which is pretty cool, because hitting that price point for them, obviously you're gonna get more bang for your buck if you go out to those price points. So say that again. So right now, 119 options on the market. Under 400,000. Under 400,000 right now. New construction in Nampa Caldwell. Wow. Pretty incredible. So if you have that and you have some sort of incentive on the front end, you're getting down to a monthly payment of $2,300 to $2,500. And so if you look at that compared to a 2-bedroom apartment in most places, you're still higher by a bit, but not, it's just do you want to invest in something that's yours or not? What about the mentality of the younger generations and new home buyers, buy versus rent? Is that something you have to overcome? Yeah, for sure. I would say a lot of people, really real estate comes back to education. They're shocked by the programs that are available for first-time home buyers, because you have Idaho housing that allows you to buy down your interest rate, which really, if you can go new construction, the buyer is honestly like not paying their closing costs. So it really costs them about $3,000 out of pocket to buy a house. And that just covers, you know, your appraisal and then your inspection and then your 0.5% down payment. So there's some really crazy options that allow affordability, you know, for buyers, but it's really a matter of giving them the tools and options for that. So
that's great.
It's all based on education.
Tell us a little bit about your marketing strategy, because I know it's different than traditional.
Yeah. So early in my career, you know, starting as a 19-year-old real estate agent, you know, that's kind of where I decided, you know, I have the opportunity to build a business based on social media. At the time, it wasn't really heavily marketed on Instagram. I feel like it's more so kind of new to everybody, you know, in terms of like really building a platform and, you know, actively, you know, filming content for Instagram. So I would say I get about 90% of my business from online, from Instagram specifically. That comes from like referral agents outside of Idaho. I received my biggest referral here in Nampa. It was a 2-year build in Nampa. It was a $4 million listing that I got from an agent out of Montana. She'd been following me on, you know, on Instagram for a really long time. So opportunities are so available for us on social media. I feel like it's very overlooked sometimes, and you probably will get some of your biggest deals from social media platforms. It's pretty incredible.
So how, I mean, it's just different, right? Because you think about traditional marketing and reach and all those sort of things. Because you know, when I knew you were coming on, I looked, I mean, you've got a lot of followers, you do a lot of content that's related to your subdivisions, and it's just this constant dripping of information.
Yeah.
Tell us the strategy behind it for those who don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay. There's a lot of people that don't get it, and it's totally fine. But I would say, like, we are now in changing times, and I think a lot of people would agree to that marketing is so important. I would argue that it's honestly a portfolio for people. It doesn't really matter what business you're in. It's your Instagram profile, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, it's your portfolio online. I joke and tell agents you wouldn't list a property that's not professionally shot. Same thing with like social media platforms. You're not going to post non-professional content. So I would say like that's so important in today's, you know, market. When you're building a brand, you better be paying for professional content, you know, in addition to all of your services and products. So I would say it's been such a significant compound effect in my business and for our team. And, you know, the amount of business and, you know, money that we've made from Instagram is pretty incredible. So I'd say it's so important, I think now more than ever, to build a personal brand. I don't know if you follow Ryan Serhant, but he is on Netflix selling Serhant, selling Manhattan. But he is, I would say, an agent that I admire because he's so amazing.
Most of the stuff I know, because I'm so old, is from Maddie. He tells me where to go and what to do. But it's incredible. And I think, go back to brand, want to dig in a little deeper. I think brand, said differently, is kind of who you are, what you represent, your values, and if you can get that brand out there, that's how it carries a business, right? So a lot of time and effort are spent on branding, and sometimes you know, well, it's going to work or it's not going to work. But talk about authenticity and talk about the way your drive and how you translate that from who you are and what you represent into a brand using a platform like Instagram.
So I don't know if you know that I have a son. Did you know I have a son? Okay, so this is a huge piece of my why and my story. So I actually had my son in high school. I was 17 when Leo was born. So
his name's Leo?
Yep,
Great
Leo.
name.
Leo the lion. So rather than going into college, my world kick-started really early on. And so I was introduced into real estate. I didn't really know much about the industry, but I would say that is honestly the why to my career.
How were you drawn to real estate? It's a completely interesting path, right?
For sure, definitely. It's
a crazy story.
Totally.
So you're 17, you have Leo.
Yeah, so he was born in McCall. My dad's from McCall. So I've lived kind of all over the valley in Boise. My family's from Eagle. But I finished high school in McCall. Leo was born. I knew a small town wasn't going to be the life for me. And so my uncle is actually a coach at Keller Williams. So I started at Keller Williams. I was there for 2 years, and then I've been at Amherst for almost 3.
So that was kind of your intro. You saw him and understood that was a pathway, kind of a line of sight to a career you might like. Were you immediately drawn to it when you started?
So my career started, I actually was renovating a real estate office I was going to join a team at Keller Williams and was helping renovate the office. So I actually love manual labor, and I'm actually under contract on 2 investment properties I'm going to renovate with my partner. But long story short, I started as an admin, got my license, planned to be an assistant, and just did not fit what I was looking for. I just felt the burning desire in my heart that I was like meant for bigger things, and didn't really know what that looked like at the time. And just
how did you have the confidence to do that?
I think when you are a young mom and you have no option, I think that really pushes you past your limits. So I think when you're in my, scenario, is faced with such large responsibilities at a young age, it kind of honestly turned into a superpower because I didn't really have the time to like worry about fear, It just
Were you always
pushed
a
me.
confident person?
I would say no. I don't think, going into new industries, I think it's hard for people to have the confidence until you get into the groove. But I would say there's definitely, I read a lot of books on personal growth and stuff like that. So I think it's a skill set that you have to learn, especially being in this industry. It's, it's a competitive industry too.
Yeah. But still, so you have this in with your uncle, you saw kind of the industry, you think, I'm going to go be support staff, which is critical for the industry, but you immediately say, I'm going to do something different.
I'm going to figure this out. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. So then from there, I mean, you're 24. So in a relatively short time, you tell us about the beginnings here and how you started growing this.
So again, early in my age, I was 20 and 21 and working with a lot of first-time home buyers. And I think I was starting to get burnt out with that sphere because very high emotions for first-time home buyers. You're dealing with a lot of hand-holding, which I love to do, but, it can be a lot of burnout when you're doing a lot of, transactions with these, younger buyers. I've always been fascinated with new construction. I have long-term goals for like new construction for myself as well. I love design. I think that it's always something that I wanted to be a part of. There's, I primarily work with a builder, but that was like a 2-year process in the making. New construction takes a lot of time to come to fruition. So you're investing all your time in tools and resources, until you get to going vertical. So you're putting in all this time and having faith that it's all going to work out. And eventually, when you put in the work, it does. But I would just say I've transitioned into new construction because I see the bigger picture in real estate for me. And I've always been passionate about getting into development. For some crazy reason, I've always loved development and stuff like that. So I love to learn everything that I can. It's I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad recently, and he just said something that stuck out to me, like, you're getting paid to learn. And I think that I'm so grateful to be in this industry because there's so many avenues that you can take, and there's so much opportunity to be made.
Who's been one of your biggest mentors this early in your career?
I would say, obviously I'm at Amherst Madison because I admire Bauscher and the team that he runs. At Keller Williams at the time, I really admired, Lisi's team. I think my vision for what I want our team to do with the new construction and, existing sphere that we have.
Hey, by the way, that's a couple of names early on. I think Lisi Bishop, you think about what she's done here for 20 plus years and like her drive and motivation. I've had the pleasure of meeting her and her husband a couple of times for some things that are incredible. And then, Matt Bauscher, I mean, that guy's like,
he's an animal.
I don't know how to keep up with him, but he's fantastic. So what do you learn from them when you see them, and what do you think they've done to be successful that you can take from them?
So I've had a lot of time at Amherst Madison. I was at the Boise location for 2 years. We're currently at Eagle. I just love that location. But what I would say is, it really takes everyday consistency to build a business, and Bauscher, has a solid routine. He's there at 8 o'clock. He gets his stuff done. Like, he really puts in the work. And it just goes to show it doesn't matter how far you are on in the business, whether that's 5 years, 10 years, like, you have to show up and get the work done. And he puts in his time, and I've seen that. And it really takes a special talent to put in the drive and go, for as long as he has.
We've said this on this podcast before, but it's kind of like lead by example, and when necessary, use words, right? There's so much about an energy that a guy like Matt Bauscher brings that it's like he doesn't even need to really say much. It's just like, okay, let's go, right?
He's
so
here.
That's cool. That's awesome. What about building a team? Because I know you have a team now. And so like you get going and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a team. And how has that changed the dynamic for you?
When I first, got into new construction, obviously I knew I was going to have to build a team because there's so much transactions. There's no way you can handle it on your own. I love having the culture that we get to create the culture around us and having a really healthy relationship where we're invested in each other's personal growth. I think it's really, honestly, I think it's like a family for us because we are so invested in each other and we have the same goals. You know, I would just say it's really fun to create the culture that you have, and I would say it's a unique opportunity. It's been really fun, so it's just special in my opinion.
What attracts people your age to business and makes that culture something they want to be part of? I mean, and part of the world for old people like me is trying to figure out you guys, right? Because I do think it's when you're dealing with people that have only grown up with
a certain way now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that you've grown up with access to a phone in your hand. You just see the world differently. The way you look at interactions and people are different. So in your opinion, what attracts people to business, keeps them happy, keeps them motivated, and is it different for your generation?
I truly believe there couldn't be a more opportunity based in the world than today because of the tools and resources that we have. And with that, I think that's, on the flip side, has made my generation lazy because we have access.
Hey, you said it, I didn't.
I know. It's okay. But then there's people that, really want to put in the work and build a business. And so it just kind of separates from those that, don't really have much going on. But I would say if you are willing to take the opportunity and put in the time, there really couldn't be a better time to build a business in today's world with the resources.
Can I ask you something, maybe say it a little differently? So I think, and this is my theory on life, I think with phones, and I have a 19-year-old, I have a 21-year-old, and then I have a 28 and 26. So my older kids, I watched not have phones until later, kind of through their years, and then my younger ones obviously have had one the whole way through.
The tablets.
Yeah, they just have. And so I worry as a parent and just kind of society-wide, like how some social skills, like just human interaction, the way you greet and interact and build relationships. And that's the old guy. That's like the get off my lawn, Gran Torino thing. But it's like just different than it is now. Your way is the future though, right? So what I'm trying to say is, like, if you can figure out how to do both, still have those social interactions, connect with people, have genuine relationships, and also dominate on this new media interaction that people are digging, that's probably the secret sauce.
It is. I would agree to that. For our generation, at least.
How people that just don't have those soft skills, for lack of a better word, what do they do?
I would say that's a great question. In terms of, I would say I don't really spend too much time with other agents outside of Amherst. And to be quite honest, there isn't too many people in their younger 20s. So I would say, like, for my personal family, like my son we don't have TV in the house. The only time we have TV is actually for like the Dolphins game because my partner loves football. But I can 100% relate to, the technology side of things.
So you don't have a TV?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we actually just got a TV in our house for the first time to watch football on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, I can't believe it's like 3 times a week, 3 hours for this, but it's okay. Like, totally cool for the football fans.
Is he sad now that Tua got hurt?
Yeah, we actually were in Miami for that.
Oh, you were?
Live. Yeah, we saw the full game in Miami.
You were at the game?
Yeah, it was pretty devastating for him. Yeah.
Hey, how cool is their coach?
He is a killer. I think he's in his young 30s. It's pretty cool.
I love his transformation this year, being in Miami late the third year when he came out with his new goatee and his new glasses, the curly hair.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to watch.
I love listening to him do his interviews.
It's pretty cool.
So it was the TV. Was it a conscious choice on your part not to have?
Honestly, I think number one, Leo, prior to like having a partner, he's been with me outside of business hours, and because I'm such a go-getter, we're honestly never even home. I would say Leo, like everybody at Amherst, has met Leo at some point because he's come through the office with me. Yeah. And he just works on his homework or coloring, or as we come in and out, we're just pretty busy. Or if we're like showing homes, prior to having a team, he would go.
How old's
all
Leo
over.
now?
He's 6, so he's 6.
So he's kind of grown up with you side by side. How hard is that?
I think being a single parent is hard, but I think Honestly, I'm so grateful that I put in the time early on in his life because, we're under contract on 2 homes and we're building a real estate portfolio. And my goal is to get these paid off so by the time he's old enough, he can have a house, because these are things that I didn't have when I was a kid. So I just think I'm so grateful that I'm putting in the time now, because he's going to be really grateful for when his time comes.
To some of your work ethic, how much of this is maybe not a question you were expecting, but I like, I know for when you get around successful people and trying to dig in what motivates them, because clearly, Laurel, you're pretty exceptional. I mean, look at
Thank you.
what you've done, and I mean, you're 24 and you're killing it. And
Thank you.
And but how much of your motivation is fear of failure, and how much of it is kind of drive for success? And those are probably 2 different things. But I think as I get older, I'm okay with having a part of it be, hey, I don't want to fail. I want to succeed for myself and the people I love. How much of it is on each side of that?
I would say I have a syndrome of what you just said. I think I want to be able to maximize my potential, and I do fear that. It's not enough. I have the not enough syndrome, have to close more deals, have to do all these big things. We have already closed and pending 43 transactions this year. So, considering the market, I would say that, the top team next to Bausch is McFerrin's team and did 55 transactions last year. So I would say I have such a high expectation, can be a blessing and a curse, but I want to set, as a role model to other young people in this industry. And even in my generation, I just think there's a shortage of leaders, and I wish there were more of us out there, that could lead and pave the way. So I think that it's, one, never enough, and more so wanting to lead by example for my generation too.
With your generation, does anyone ever talk to you about balance? It's a tricky word for a long time for me, but how do you, I'll give you my theory on life, but balance, how do you, at your young age, with your mind, how do you what does that word mean to you?
I would say my life, and I think that, opportunity costs for a lot of people and entrepreneurs, you have to put in a ton of time, depending on how you want to scale your business. And I knew going into this career to build a long-term business, I was going to have a life of very unbalanced, and I was okay with that. I met my partner this year, and we're getting married in December. And thank you. And he, I would say, has brought a lot of balance into my life to slow down in a healthy way, to just, take advantage of family time, quality time, which has been really nice for me, to be honest.
Hey, take it for what it's worth, but I had a really good friend who told me this about, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I wish I would have heard it when I was 24. But he just said, because I always felt guilty about balance, because I think I've always been very entrepreneurial, and I was always working too much, and you look, and I think you...
But was it worth it, though?
I think it was. I mean, I'm on the back end now, so... my kids are grown. I've got 3 grandkids now.
I saw that. So
and they're
cute.
Stinking awesome. I love them. And you never get time back. So I think one of the lies I told myself was quality time is as good as quantity.
Yeah.
I think it's a lie you have to tell yourself when you're busy.
Yeah.
You have to say, hey, well, I'm a really good mom, I'm a really good dad, and I'm going to spend a lot of really good time with them. With that said, here's what my friend told me that I wish I would have known, because that would have been a lot easier on myself. He said, rather than think of balance in a time commitment, he said, why don't you check yourself every morning and every night on your priorities?
Yeah,
and if you feel like you've lived up to your priorities, and Leo's at the top of that list in the morning and at the night, regardless of how much time you spent with him, because it's going to be different. You're going to have, you'll have these closings, and then you'll have slower times, and and as long as those priorities never change, and you're constantly the ones checking yourself and your own heart, your own mind of, hey, no, my priorities are right, that will let you off the hook.
Saturday morning flag football. Okay, we got on the calendar.
And I think when you're really motivated, you need some things to just give yourself a break a little bit, right? Because you do need to work your tail off.
For sure.
You need to work. People that don't do this, they don't. I always say, the world's filled with people that want to make $1 million, and there are very, 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 very few people that have the grit and desire and will to work hard enough to do it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I agree.
And I think the flip side of that, I think you're around people where if they have a passion and a why that is deep, whatever that is, and they have the drive and will to chase their dreams, I think we put artificial ceilings on those dreams, and I think we shatter them if we can just let ourselves go and be who we know we can be. So it's really cool to talk to you about these things, and thanks for being so vulnerable about it. But that's an incredible story. So back to your team.
And can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So what advice would you give?
No one asked me a question on this podcast.
I want to ask you a question because I've been
this
wanting
is
to
great.
ask you. I think, what advice would you give to like younger entrepreneurs, like knowing what you know now? Is there anything that you would share to give, feedback for those?
Well, anyone that knows me knows I talk too much, so that's an easy thing. But I think for most people, I think as I get older, authenticity, like just don't let like what you do be who you are, but let what you do be a reflection of who you are. It's kind of a really deep thing. So like, if you're motivated to create a life for Leo and for yourself and to be driven, and real estate's what you've chosen, you probably would be successful in a lot of different careers you chose.
Maybe.
You've landed in real estate, and it's your love, but then it gets back to, how do you treat people?
Yeah.
How do you take care of relationships? Do you genuinely do things that are kind and give back? And can you look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm taking care of my priorities, my list, my family, the ones I love. And it's not always easy to do everything, but my advice would be, get a routine where you can constantly check yourself, call it living arrows in, right? You're reflecting in instead of out, and be kind, and that's probably, and then work hard.
It's a good list.
It's a good list. But it sounds like you're doing all those things.
I'm trying.
How hard is it being a young person with a team? How old's your team? So
Tyson is my partner. He is actually 32 and he's been in the business for 10 years. So he is kind of like my wingman. Emmy is our marketing director, and she's been in the industry for 3 years too. And then we've got a fourth gal. She's been in the industry for 5 years as well. So we're all fairly familiar with the industry. We all have like a new construction background. So I'd say we are kind of just combining the resources that we have to just maximize our new construction. We've got about 250 homes that are being built in the next now to 5 years. So 3 subdivisions total. We just sold our fourth one right now. Well, our first one, but yeah. So we're excited. I really feel so grateful.
So all relatively young, all kind of with the same motives, get along well?
Yeah, we're like a family. I would definitely say we get along really well.
That's critical. I mean, because you spend so much time at work. We have a mantra here that if you can love being home and love your family and have that be an important part of your life, but if it feels like you're going to your second family to go to work, then we're doing something right. And if it ever feels like, I don't want to go to work,
and that's not good.
That's not good. We need to help. We need to help figure that out. So that's awesome. Hey, thanks for asking me a question.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question.
You're allowed to ask a question. Okay. What's a misconception you think in our market right now about housing? If you say, like someone like me that's not in the industry every day, just seeing, what's a misconception you think people have out there about housing right now in the Treasure Valley?
I would say a misconception would be, homes are moving relatively quickly. Within this last week, honestly, we just had 2 or 3 listings go under contract within this last weekend, which is pretty cool. They were on the market for about 2 to 3 weeks, which is pretty common in this market right now. So I'd say within rates going down, like you see a significant amount of activity within that short period of time. But I would say it's
so things
still
are
moving.
Still things are moving. Like things are moving and prices are pretty stable. They really haven't stopped.
Yeah.
They really haven't settled too much, right? And then when you're buying in the valley here, and with Micron coming, where do you see the growth happening and kind of naturally happening over the next 5 to 10 years?
I would say 5 to 10 years, Meridian is obviously blowing up. Kuna's blowing up. I would say Kuna's the fastest growing city right here, locally.
Yeah.
all the development that's going up. We have a development off of Hazel Cross that's going to be going up of 190 units. Those will be townhomes. So I'd say the development from what we've seen on that side is Meridian's going to continue to blow up. Kuna's going to continue to blow up. Obviously, those are the areas that have the dirt to expand. But I think that, Meridian will essentially probably be the new Boise because, that's going to be more so central to the area. I would say, as we continue to build.
And Napa stayed really active, right?
Yeah, I would say, within the lower price points for new construction, they've got a ton of new construction going on up right there.
How is Highway 16 going to change things?
I think traffic is going to get a little crazy, but I would say Highway 16 is the one that's going up currently. I think that's going to be able to add additional traffic for people. I would say but overall traffic will probably get a little crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to get crazy.
Yeah,
they got to build some more roads.
I went out to Micron today to show some guests we had in from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And we should have counted the cranes, but there's got to be 25 cranes up.
Yeah.
And you just look at the magnitude of those dollars being spent and what it's going to bring people here and folks that are going to relocate and the stress on the job market and the ability for people to make. The good news is if you go back 15 years ago, all we talked about was livable wages and how we get our wages up and how people can afford to live. And now we've got livable wages, but costs have gone up, right? So it's still hard for people to, to kind of balance all that. But I do think it appears that jobs are not going to be a problem for us here.
We have a strong economy. So I would say,
that's great. One of the other things that just came out this last week that I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you saw the Wall Street Journal, but Boise, it was an article. It was that secretly the Boise is the coolest city in the Northwest.
I didn't know that, but that's pretty cool.
So for your generation, this place is popular.
Mm-hmm. It's a hidden gem.
And you see people that are from here or moving here. Talk about, people in their 20s and how Boise fits them and why they like being here so much.
I would say for people that come here, they realize, Boise's a hidden gem. The city's so clean. It's a safe place to grow a family. Typically when people come here, they see the Four Seasons, and we're so close to McCall. We have access to really, recreational activities. So I'd say it's overall, depending on that, lifestyle that you're in and the age of your, your family. But I would say it's a really good place to raise a family, which is why I'm here with Leo. But I would say it's just safe. We've got good schools. It's a good economy. It's a really good place to raise a family.
Yeah, I think to your point, the secret's.
It's a secret hidden gem. It's
It
gone,
was a secret hidden gem.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, everyone. We also had some people come and visit from Reno last week, and it was interesting just to. We're doing some work in Reno, so they came over, and we spent 2 days down in downtown Boise, and 2 of them had never been to Boise.
Oh, fun. Did they love it?
Oh my gosh. They stayed 3 days, and when you're here and you've kind of watched it develop, because I think back, it's almost 20 years ago now that we did 8th and Main, where the Science Bank building is, and I think back to then what was downtown and how much housing there was and things to do. It just was a different downtown then.
Yeah.
And now you walk it, and I think Boise's done a really nice job of their streetscapes. I mean, it just feels so good and vibrant. And now there's all the housing downtown, apartments, and it feels good.
All the commercial that's going up right now.
Commercial and retail, and it all just vibes together so well that when you're just really proud of bringing them there, and they're blown away. They're just like, how did this happen, and why does it feel so good? On top of that, I think you said something important, but it's also safe.
Yeah.
Right? I think we've done a really good job of maintaining that safety, and we're doing a lot of proactive stuff with homelessness, and
which is amazing. It's so sweet. It's nice.
It's so nice and clean, and they in the days they were here, they just kept saying everything's clean, everything's taken care of, and how do your streetscapes look this clean, and who cleans your street fronts? And we're like, well, the people that are down here, it's not like
they're not throwing their trash on the floor.
There's one of these things, like you just kind of respect your place, and then everyone respects it too, and it's just really amazing, and we're really lucky to be here and have so many great things going on. Okay, a couple other questions. This has gone by really fast.
Okay.
What advice would you give someone? You asked me that question, but if you go back, it's been, what have you learned to date, and what do you tell people that say, how are you doing this?
My honest feedback to anybody is if you're willing to put in the work and if you never give up on your dreams, I know it's kind of like cliche, but it's just the gravity of law. Like if you put in the work, you're going to see the results. And honestly, I think that if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out how to make it happen. And if you don't, then you're going to find an excuse. So I'd say for anybody that's passionate about, building a business or building, whatever avenue they want to go into, I think that you can make it happen if you really put in the time. So I'd just say, like, you're going to have to let your fear go and just put in the work, have the faith. And, it's like you're putting in the faith, you're putting in all this busy work, and then you're just waiting for life to unfold. And it's kind of like that hamster wheel. You're doing all the things, but you just have to have the faith that it'll work out. And it typically does if you put in the time.
How early on did you know I'm going to be successful? Was it early on that you thought, hey, this is going to work for me?
I was 19 years old, sitting in my townhome when I first moved to Boise with Leo. It was just him and I, and he was a little baby. We had some really hard nights together. Like I was just trying to figure my life out as a young parent. And I just remember thinking to myself that I was going to really do whatever it took to give us, the life that I wanted. I think that at that time I really had nothing to lose. So I just, I've had this vision in my life. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I was going to figure it out to, make it happen. So I just think that I've been so grateful to meet so many incredible people in this industry. And I just think that it's up to you to pave the way and you have to make it happen. So I just think that I have had this crazy amount of faith that it was going to work out. And here we are. It's worked.
How many hours do you think you worked a week?
You could ask Nick and Boucher. I would say I'm typically one of the first people to get there in the morning. And, I would typically be right around one of the last people to leave. I would grab a little Leo and we would wrap up the last of our emails and we would go home. We didn't really have a TV. We would just go home to be home. I wanted to work at the office, and then when we're home, it's, we're there to chill out and have that balance. So I would say I've put in a significant amount of time, and I would say about 7 days a week. So a lot of time.
There's no substitute. After all the advice you can give, right? It's that tenacious, grinding, hourly, I'm going to work harder, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds different because I get asked a few times, I got asked on a panel not too long ago, and they're like, well, how do you succeed during good times and bad times, whatever? And I think for us and our company, kind of my partners here, it's kind of this mantra where you just won't be outworked. Work is the equalizer. It's the great equalizer, right? Because you may be more talented than me. You may have more money than me. You may have a leg up in life that I don't have. You may have all these other things, but I can still outwork you. And I think that idea, the other thing that I like thinking about sometimes is if I'm feeling pain, if it's hard, then everyone else is feeling pain too.
Right.
And if I can withstand that a little bit more, and figure out a way to work through that better than them, I'm going to probably end up okay. And sometimes that you just have to do that, right? It's the grit. It's the grit. It's the grind, right?
Totally.
Makes it more rewarding, though.
Yeah, you really earned it.
We need to sprinkle a bunch of you all over a whole bunch of other people.
Oh my gosh,
the
Tinkerbell dust. Here you go.
Here
you
can
go. Do it.
You can do it. That's great. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. Oh, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Within your social media, because I didn't ask you this earlier, we hit on it a little bit, but do you do any traditional media, or is it all social media?
So I would say classifying traditional media.
So for me, I would say hard mail, billboards, radio.
That's a goal.
you still will do some of that.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're opposed
We're
to
getting there.
Traditional media.
Yeah. So actually on 10 Mile, we have a goal to get a billboard there because we have our subdivision going up. But we do hard mail for all of our listings when we do a pending and sold. And then our goal is to get a billboard there on 10 Mile.
Okay.
So
for old guys like me, traditional media is still okay.
Yes, it's still
okay.
You're doing both the things.
You still have to do both.
Yeah, still have to do both.
All right.
You're killing it.
Maddie, what else? I'm really lucky. I don't usually tell this story, but my daughter was like this beautiful angel, and she went away to school and she met this kid, and I'm like, what the heck? You can't meet someone that fast. But
oh my gosh.
My son-in-law is awesome, and he's taught me more than I never learn about like media and what's
That's
going on,
amazing.
and it's great. So
That's amazing.
he pretty lucky guy to have him around and have him help us. But keep it up. It's going to be fun to watch what you do. We'll be paying close attention, and thanks for coming on and sharing so many pearls and your wisdom, and
Thank you for having me
looking forward
here.
to you like just killing it.
I'm excited. Stay tuned. The next couple of years will be a little crazy. So.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks, everybody.